Why are you afraid to show up online? I want you to think about it for a second and be very honest with yourself. Why are you afraid? You should be showing up more. You should be on camera, sharing your knowledge, sharing the value you have, sharing your brilliance, but you're not. Why are you afraid? I want you to think, like write it down. Think about this. I want you to imagine how you could open doors of opportunity and connect with the people you are called to serve when you start showing up. Imagine how impactful your story can be for someone who needs it. Not the masses, just the person who needs it or the group of people who need it. Similar to how I am showing up to serve a group of women entrepreneurs who want to step from behind the scenes and to show up with clarity, with courage, and with confidence in their business, but also in their lives, and to build a brand that is visible where they can connect with the audience for them. Quick backstory. So, for years, I was a self proclaimed behind the scenes girl. Listen, that was just something I was just so proud to say. I used to write it online all the time. I'm the self-proclaimed back behind the scenes girl. So proud. Not realizing it was holding me back. Because what I was doing at the time was hiding behind my designs, hiding behind my creativity, holding my head down and doing the work. And I thought, if I'm gonna be honest, I thought, this was something I learned, right? Hold your head down and work hard. People recognize you, you'll get the promotion. Lies. Not no go so. Not no go so. So I had the thought that if I held my head down and worked hard, people would notice me. And the truth is, they didn't. They did not recognize me. I've had conversations with multiple people during that time about like my approach and me not showing up and me not putting myself out there. But there's one particular conversation that stood out to me every time I think about how I used to hide behind the scenes. And this was a conversation I had with a family friend who was visiting from overseas. And, we went for dinner and I was just talking to her about all the things I'm doing and stuff. And she's like, well, you're doing great stuff, but who knows you're doing all these things? Who knows you're doing all this incredible work if you don't like put yourself out there and promote yourself? And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. I could not answer her. And it's the same thing for you. Like, you're doing all this incredible work. You're so knowledgeable. You have done all the research. You have spent so much years in school or learning this thing or perfecting this craft. But literally, no one knows that you're great at this thing because you're hiding, you're not showing up, you're not putting yourself out there, you're not sharing it. Pretty much, you're invisible. And from that conversation I had with a family friend to reaching a point when I realized I was feeling very stuck and I wanted a change and a shift in my life. The day everything shifted for me was when I made a very conscious decision, or as I would say, my favorite word, got very intentional that I would bet on myself and put myself out there despite how uncomfortable it was or how uncertain it felt, and press record for my first video where I was just on camera. Was the day everything shifted. Like I said, I was nervous, I was uncertain, I was sweating, I was fumbling over my words. I did so many recordings of that one clip before I decided, hey, I'm going to click publish. But the truth is, I showed up anyway, right? And my first video reminded me of one thing, which is that people don't need perfect. And for me, I was living in my head a lot about how I should show up. Oh, perfect. I want my background to be perfect. I need to have the right aesthetics. And, I thought I needed to have all the things that would make people want to watch my video. But truth is, people didn't want to watch me because I have a perfect background. They really just wanted to hear from me. And they wanted someone who was real and authentic and just as honest as possible and was providing value. But I was just so caught up in the being perfect, perfectionism. It wasn't working. And what I realize about people, and you'll realize it too, is that you want to connect with someone who is real, someone who is going to be honest. And when I say really, just being honest and authentic, right? We want to connect with people who, have challenges, who are trying, who are putting themselves out there and betting on themselves. And that's literally what I am doing now. I mean, I can be very honest with you. There are times when I'm showing up online and I'm like, all right, I want the most perfect background, or I want the perfect thing, because that's just my standard when it comes to certain things. But the reality is, every time I try to make things perfect or whatever, it only delayed a lot of things. It only delayed the process and me making progress in the work I'm called to do. And so, my journey with just showing up and being online has literally been one where I realized that I have to show up to serve the people I'm called to serve. And that is women entrepreneurs who want to stop hiding, right? And what I know firsthand is that when you're hiding, your business is not growing. When you're hiding, um, there's no growth there. There's literally no growth. Sure, there are faceless videos on YouTube, there are faceless videos on Instagram, Reels, and TikTok that are making money. But for you, are you really supposed to show up in a way without sharing your voice or sharing your face or even showing up? That's for you to answer. And you know the answer to that. I cannot answer that for you. But I honestly don't like to hear when women entrepreneurs who have so much to share, so much value, so much knowledge, and they're going to say, oh, because I'm shy, I'm not going to show my face. Like, I feel like that's the biggest mistake you'll make because of your own fears. So here's why you are afraid, right? These are some things I've realized. Here's why you're afraid, and here's how you can shift it. So the first one is fear of rejection and criticism. So one of the reasons I personally do want to show up online first, or just show up in general, was I thought more about the opinions of others than what I really wanted. So I think about, oh, what would people say? What would people think? What would my friends think? What would this coworker think? Like, literally, that was just me wasting my time, because I spent and wasted so much time thinking about the opinions of others and did nothing, right? And I had to learn, and it's constantly still learning, if I want to be honest, how to focus on who I want to be, how I want to show up, versus thinking about the opinions of others. And I realized that, of course, I won't resonate with everyone, and that is okay, right? You won't resonate with everyone, and that is okay. And I also realized that the people I'm called to serve won't find me if I'm hiding. So the more I'm hiding is the more I'm doing myself a disservice. Well, the more I'm hiding is the more I'm doing my audience I'm called to serve a disservice. And then the second point, as it relates to why you're afraid, it could be a fear of failure and even a fear of success. So hear me out here. You have possibly watched a lot of people online who are talking about the things that you know very well, and probably are not even as knowledgeable as you are, or know as much about the topic or subject or whatever it is. But you're just sitting there in your corner watching other people who have less talent, who are growing because they simply made a decision to put themselves out there and to show up consistently. Meanwhile, you're out there hiding. Think about that. And I used to think the same way, like, oh, there's so many people who are talented and this and that. And I'm over here hiding, I'm over here not making progress because I'm fearful of what people would think and say. That was ridiculous, if I'm going to be honest. So the truth is, I think one of the biggest failures you can make right now, especially if you know you should be showing up, is not trying. It is not making, it is not trying, it is not placing a bet on yourself, it is not putting yourself out there when you know you really should. Right? And so you have this idea, you have this business, you know you're supposed to write this book, you know you're supposed to create this YouTube channel, you know you should be on Instagram more, sharing behind the scenes of your work, you know you should be on camera talking to people about how they can improve their health, or you know you should be like teaching a particular group of people and sharing that with but you're hiding, you're fearful, all because the opinions of others, or you're afraid of being rejected, or you're afraid of criticism. And listen, every video you create, every time you show up, every time you show up, what you're doing is boosting your confidence and filling up your courage tank, as I would say. Every time you show up, it's like practice to build your confidence and practice to build your courage. Listen, if you want to go back to my first set of videos I did here on YouTube, you will see a significant difference. Let me tell you, my first set of videos, I was so nervous. I talk about this all the time. I was so nervous, and you probably could hear sometimes the nervousness in my voice cracking, and fumbling. And what you did not see was the fact that I would record so many versions of that video before I decided on one. Hey guys, welcome to Carey Digital. Jesus, Jesus. No, this is serious. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's channel. Oh my god. No, this is serious. No, this is serious. Which means sometimes I would spend my entire time recording and making mistakes and all the things because I was nervous. Hey guys, welcome back to Carey Digital, where I teach you how to create, connect, and earn in the digital space. So if it's your first time here, thanks for visiting. Thanks. But even though I was nervous, I decided I'm going to show up. I have videos right now on YouTube. When I look at it, I was like, oh my gosh, my makeup is awful. Oh my gosh, my eyebrows need to shave. Oh my gosh, my shirt should have fixed this way. And yes, it's good to have standards. It's good to know what you want and how you want to show. But listen, those things can be improved over time. So when you make that decision to start creating that video, to start showing up, to stop hiding, you will get better over time. You will start noticing the things that you need to work on and improve, and you keep tweaking them each video as you go on and get by. And then the third point is the fear of being seen as not enough. Now, this is something I struggled with a lot. And I used to question, who am I to put myself out there? I'm not popular. I've never been popular. I'm not well known, especially when I compare myself to persons who are more eloquent speakers, when I compare myself to experts. And because I was doing a lot of comparison, I, first of all, allowed myself to be crippled by that, but then also I undervalued myself. I was like, oh yeah, who am I to do this? Who am I to show up this way? Who am I to talk about this? But that thought, like I said, made me undervalue myself, and I stayed silent and did nothing. But in all of this, throughout my journey over the last 5 years since I've been on YouTube and been more intentional about how I show up, what I've learned is that visibility isn't about perfection. So, sometimes we think that people are looking for a particular thing, like aesthetically. But the truth is, when you think about it, like a lot of people, they are working through so much things, and they're thinking more about their problems and their own situation, that they're not so caught up on just aesthetics. They want someone who's going to keep it real with them, who's going to share what they need to know in that moment so they can make a decision on what to do next, right? So remember, visibility isn't about perfectionism, and people are not looking for perfect. And so by sharing your journey, sharing what you know well, sharing your skills, sharing your knowledge, also gives persons that permission to show up with courage and imperfectly as well. So my question to you is, what are your beliefs? What do you believe? Do you believe that people won't take it seriously if you're not perfect? Do you believe that you're too shy, too introverted to be the face of your brand? Or do you believe that if you put yourself out there, you'll be criticized? I have a video right now on YouTube. It's one of the videos I least expected to do so well. And I remember when that video started getting a lot of traction, it still is the best performing video. I realized persons used to comment and like, oh, your lips look so weird. Why are you doing your mouth like this? Why are you doing like that? And I had just people who used to just make those comments, and I just delete them. But just delete them. Like, I'm like, okay, fine, my lips or whatever, but are you getting the content? Are you understanding what I'm saying in this video? Are you getting the value? That's more important than how I look. And also for that video, like, you have persons criticizing like, oh, this is a clickbait, da 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 da. And it's really not a clickbait, but I guess they had an expectation of what they were going to get. And so for that video, I have a mix of good reviews and I'd say persons criticizing. But guess what? I keep moving. So if you are like really caught up about people criticizing you, it will happen. But the most important thing you'd want to do is to believe in yourself and to remember why you even got started. Sometimes the stories we tell ourselves are not true, and the beliefs that we have, because we have told ourselves those stories so often, it start feeling like facts, and it has become a point where you believe it so much that it influences your decisions, right? So for me, my belief was that I wasn't good enough, like I shared before, and so I didn't show up. But I started challenging those beliefs. I had to reach a point where I had to challenge those beliefs because those beliefs were keeping me stuck. And so I want you to challenge a belief that you have right now. And I want you to think about it from like, how is it holding you back, right? Because for me, if I kept believing that I wasn't good enough or I wasn't popular enough or whatever, then I wouldn't make a move. And when I really challenged that belief, what I realized was that it was a fear, right? Me saying I'm not good enough had a lot to do with fear, but also like a self-limiting belief that I had. So what's a turning point for me? My turning point is hitting record. My turning point was me showing up through the nervousness, through the uncertainty, but also embracing one mindset shift that I am good enough to share my story. I am good enough to share my journey. I am good enough to share my knowledge and my skills with an audience who needs to hear me. And that literally changed how I showed up. You will see it in my videos. I'm telling you, if you go back to my first videos, you'll see the transition or transformation. And so the more I showed up, the more my confidence built, the more I was able to just let my hair down, show off my personality. You see my confidence shining through. You see me be more courageous. You see me laughing. You see me not trying to be perfect on camera. I used to always come on camera feel like I need to have on makeup. I used to come on camera feel like I need to just be like I just had all these perceptions of how I should be showing up. And the minute I had that turning point and start showing up regardless, of course having my standards because that's important, is the minute opportunities start coming in. It's the minute where I just started embracing more of who I am just naturally. I want you to remember that your voice is valuable. What you have to share is valuable. And your story can help others, your journey can help others. And so my beliefs now are totally, completely different. My belief now is that it's better to show up imperfectly than not at all. My belief is that my story can help other women entrepreneurs to find their courage too. So I hope through this series, which is a 7 day series, that you will find the courage and the confidence to press record and to show up. And it's not even just about being on camera, but just show up in life generally and show up how you know you should. And that every time I show up, I am fueling someone's journey, right, with my knowledge and skills. And so I want you to think about this. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about this. What do you believe right now that might be holding you back? What is one thing that you believe that is holding you back? I want you to write it down. I want you to think about it. And I want you to think about how you can shift that belief into something more powerful and beneficial for you. If this video resonated with you, I want you to subscribe to this channel, give it a thumbs up, and share it with someone who you know it would truly benefit. And I want you to follow this 7-part series on Stop Hiding, where I share my story, strategy, and action to help you to move from a place of hiding into a place of visibility. At the end of the 7 day series, I will have a 3-part webinar where I'll be showing and sharing my exact approach from moving from a place of hiding into visibility and how that opened up opportunities for me and also created space for me to impact the lives of the women I'm called to serve. The link is in the description for all the details on the webinar, but also you can check out the playlist link in the description.